Yo, 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 Ram fans, good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Cup of Coffee with me and my co host, Marty Lenz. We're so excited today. We're going to be having as good a guest as you can get, head coach of CSU, Ali Farokmanesh. Marty, how are you today? Haven't we missed each other last week? We've been had a 2 week break. How you been, man?
I have been well. I have been well, and enjoying the holidays, embracing all the things that come with the holidays, and then consuming a lot of information and those sorts of things. Obviously, a lot of CSU content. Watched last night's game, of course. Watched the fantastic game against CU. So no, I have been great. All things considered, life is pretty swell for me.
That's good. It's a holiday season is always. I love this time of year, but I hate this time of year because I don't like short days of sunlight.
Right.
I like longer days, but at least we have the holidays. And I went to a wonderful holiday musical program down in Loveland on Saturday, and
Nice.
of course, got CSU men's basketball on Sunday with a wonderful. I don't know if you noticed the whole neurodiversity
Yes.
inclusion theme,
Yes.
and it's a special it's a special day, and it was very enjoyable. Just a very wonderful celebration of those who are neurologically diverse. So
When you are exposed to folks that are, if you say on the spectrum or see the world or learn differently, it really opens your eyes. I mean, a couple of years ago, I had the unique experience of running into totally randomly in Iowa Professor Temple Grandin, and I got a chance to just sit with her for about 20 minutes and just chat with her, and it was just the most fascinating, mind-opening, mind-blowing a thing. And of course, my first thought is, I was like, "Oh, Professor, are you here to see the football game?" Because CSU was traveling that weekend to play Iowa, and she looks at me, she's like, "There's a football game going on," and she was there to speak the thing. And of course, I'm like, I am such a dope. Like, she's gonna be there to see the football game. I just remember thinking, you are such a maroon, Marty. But it was just one of the most lovely opportunities and conversations to just sit in her presence and talk with her, and something that really, like I said, it's something that has left a total impact and will for the rest of my life. She was just unbelievably unreal. It was something
yeah,
else.
it was wonderful to see her sitting next to President Parsons
Right.
yesterday, introducing her to the crowd. Just getting personal about this. My wife has been a special education teacher. That was her thing. She's retired. She subs, and she still subs in classrooms with kids with special needs. But the other side of it is, um, it's nice that the research is so much. It keeps advancing, advancing, and advancing in terms of being able to help younger people when they experience these things. And I talked with my wife a little bit about this the other day. I actually think I would have shown up on the spectrum when I was young. There were some issues I had, but of course it was just a young boy being a young boy, and but I you know I and I there's some things that extended into my adult life that didn't necessarily work, that had they been dealt with a little differently when I was younger, may have turned out differently. I'm not unhappy with my life, but there was no doubt I would have been diagnosed with somewhere on the spectrum.
Well, and there's a couple of things societally. If you think about it, Steve, back in the day, we didn't have the knowledge base and the understanding, and a lot of times those young people were shutted off and shoved into places and classrooms where they weren't exposed to the greater population, and that did two things. That prevented those young people from learning how to navigate in I put in quotes, but like in a normal environment. But at the same time, people who are, if you want to say, consider normal, I'll say like myself as a kid growing up, it didn't give us a chance to be around those young people as much, to learn how to navigate and learn patience and grace and kindness, and just open our minds up to say, hey, people are different, but that's okay. They see the world differently. That's wonderful. They learn differently. That's wonderful and okay too. So now that we're talking about it, the research, the science, parental advocates, of which we know one very well, and others in that situation can talk about their experience and saying, hey, this is great. This is what we deal with. But I want you to know that these young people deserve our respect, our kindness, our thought, and support in society and the things that we do as well. And that's the neat thing. So, God bless your wife for working with those young people like that, or my uncle who did that for many years, or people that are parents of these young people that are helping them to say, hey, this is my child and they are special and they have a lot to offer to society too. Just because they may be perceived as different or see the world different, that doesn't mean there's any, less value to what they offer and who they are as a person and human being.
Absolutely, right on. So, yeah, let's move on. It's time to bring on our guest of the day, none other than head coach Ali Farokmanesh. Coach, how are you this morning, man?
Good, doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, Coach. Doing well.
We're good, getting ready for the holidays. So we wanted to spend a few minutes with you. I thought this would be a wonderful. I thought bringing on. At first, I appreciate you coming on. I know how busy you are. I know you got a family. I know you got holidays. I know you got a college basketball team to coach. But I thought this would be a wonderful time to talk about, to make the transition from the non-con schedule. CSU, of course, finished 9-2. But I want to talk about how you built the schedule and how the team has come along and what you were trying to accomplish with the schedule. So let's kind of talk about it again. 9-2, opened 4-0, all kinds of different things. 3-0 against teams at home, and then a road game at Loyola. Let's talk about those first four games. What were you hoping to accomplish in those first four games, Coach?
Yeah, Steve, that list of titles that you just listed off gave me anxiety. Like I missed something this morning. Like I wasn't on it. But no, the non-conference schedule though, I think it goes back to initially scrimmaging Northern Colorado, and wanting that game right there, just because Coach Smiley knows our program probably better than anybody else outside of our program that's somewhere else. And I wanted that challenge, that they knew how to guard us a little bit. They weren't going to be surprised with anything. They could coach their guys up pretty well on a scout on us. So it was going to be really challenging for our guys. So that was perfect. And then you go play on the road versus Creighton in front of 15,000 people. And I know they haven't had quite the start that I think they thought they were going to too, but at the time they still had Jackson McAndrew as well. And that presented a challenge in and of itself too. But the whole idea was to play a road game early, to get used to the travel, the nuance of being on the road. And that helped us a ton by the time we got to the Loyola Chicago. And then, to be honest, because the time frame of everything that happened when everybody left, when Nico took the job at Minnesota, we didn't have much. Our schedule was pretty bare bones at the time when they left. We had Colorado, and then we had the MT. So we had 4 games total. And there's that time of year, usually teams are starting to rack up all these games. And Dave did a great job. Coach Bilafovich did a great job of finding the right games for us, some high quality games. And in today's age, it's hard to get games. It's hard to get games. And I think that's one of the hardest aspects of college basketball that I don't think people realize, is that a lot of your schedule isn't really determined by you. You can want to play whatever games you want to, and it's like elementary school game where they don't invite you to play the games. So it's scheduling and now NIL are probably the 2 biggest difficulties within the job today.
Well, I want to ask that about the coach, because a lot of people say, well, why aren't you playing so-and-so and so-and-so? And I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times well, they got to want to play you. You can want to play anybody you want to play, but unless they want to reciprocate that, right? You can't just say, well, I want to play Minnesota, but do they want to play us? Or I want to play Purdue, or I want to play whomever it is, but they got to be willing to reciprocate. And then you got to flesh out, well, where? Our home court, your home court, those sorts of things, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it sounds great. Like, let's just call Utah and schedule a game,
Right.
but it's not as easy as that. We are in a point though that we're pretty much a quad 2, quad 1 opportunity every time you play us now. And so from that standpoint, it is easier for us to get games, and hopefully going forward, that reputation and kind of where that mark is for our program, we'll be able to start doing those games. But I like where we're at today. We can go get St. Mary's. We can go now. And then the biggest problem going forward is we're going to the Pac-12, is we're going to have to get 16 to 14 non-conference games. where in previous years it's been 11 to 12. So you add 3 to 5 extra non-conference games on top of already struggles with scheduling. It presents its challenges, but we'll be lucky enough. We'll keep the Colorado series going, add a series with Wyoming going forward. Loyola returns to us next year. Still working with St. Mary's right now, actually, to do a home and home series. And then we have keep a few more irons in the fire too for it.
Yeah, so you started off 4-0, road trip, and you scheduled a road trip to Loyola, and I know that was kind of looking like a good opportunity, and it's turned into just an absolutely, other than getting a good a road trip itself, which is always valuable. That didn't help, and then a couple of losses. DU at home, which was to be honest with you, we all it's a shocker. It was to this day it's the biggest upset in all of college basketball. And then on to the MTE. You were obviously excited about playing that MTE, about nothing but quality opponents, 3 straight days.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that happens. And I think you look across college basketball, there's a lot of upsets, weird scores, weird games happening, and that happens at the start of the season when you do have so many new people. Like every team, for the most part, is adding 4 to 7 guys out of the portal, and I think that's the biggest change in college basketball. If you can have continuity, it's always been the thing that separates you. But in today's age of college basketball, if you have any continuity, that is the absolute biggest separator than anything else. So that's what hopefully we can continue to do going forward, is we're not adding so many people out of the portal in the future. But the DU game, it happens, and I think I hate saying that, but with a new team, it's part of it, and we kind of needed a wake up call in some ways to some stuff, and we were getting a lot of pats on the back after being 4-0, and kind of like what you said with Loyola Chicago. You go into that game thinking at worst that's a quad 2 game, but thinking probably it's going to end up being a quad 1 game on the road, and that's not going to happen now. So that's the other part about scheduling, is you try to schedule these games anticipating what someone's going to be, and yeah, you have no idea. And we got lucky enough in the MTE though that played a quality team in Virginia Tech, and then followed it up with Wichita State and South Florida, both really good in the American Conference. So we walked out of there being able to play basically 3 quad 2 games, and that's what you want out of those MT events. And so we're lucky enough to be in the Bahamas for that, and then next year in Maui, those are looking like they're probably almost all quad 1 games.
Coach, those games, yeah, the DU game disappointing, obviously, but then you come out, you do great in the MTE. Had a real chance to beat Virginia Tech there, but then the next 2 games, you go out and really, put your emphasis on what kind of program we are against some pretty good schools. And then you come home, you play Colorado. It's always a big game, no matter what fan base or, administration says or feels about it. I like your approach to that game. And the one thing I like about you, and I said this about you on social media, about how I think we're different, is we think about us first, but we think about the college basketball game, the greatness and the betterment and the greater part of the game. And I love that you want to play the CU game because you think it's good for the state of college basketball in Colorado. And I'm with you, the young people that go to the game saying, man, I want to play at CU or CSU. I'm a local kid. I want to stay home and play in a great game like this. Talk about why you have that philosophy, and maybe why some other coaches are a little more selfish about playing certain games like that. Talk about why you see the bigger part of the game and the greater gain of playing a rivalry like that.
Yeah, I just think that's what college sports are supposed to be about. I mean, honestly, all sports are supposed to be about that. Like the rivalries, the intensity of what a rivalry is. Duke, Carolina, like the Red Sox and the Yankees, Boston, LA. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like to me, that's what sports is about, and that's why you love playing them. That's why you like being a fan of those games, is the rivalries. And the biggest rivalry that I know in this state is Colorado State. And to think about not having that game is just, I think you're doing a disservice then to basketball and college sports in general. And I think that's what's fun about this. And I also understand, like, there was a point in time probably that Colorado, for a basketball program, was you go to Colorado State and it's a quad 3 game, and that we're trying to avoid those as well. or we're going to their place and it's a quad 3 game and it's a lose-lose situation. But that's not the case anymore. Like them beating us at their place last year, that was a quad 1 win for them at the end of the day. And to get those opportunities to have quad 1 and quad 2 wins in league play, and you don't have to fly across the country to do that. You can drive down the road. It's benefits us, but it also benefits them too. Whoever wins that game is walking away with a quality win, and neither one of you are walking away with a quality loss or a bad loss. And I think that's the other part of it. But I think it goes back to what you said too, Marty. It's if we want to grow the game of Colorado, a game of basketball in the state of Colorado, well, then kids in Colorado need to see other kids from Colorado having success at the highest levels and playing in sold-out arenas. You don't think that Neat Clifford has an impact on that going forward? And hopefully now I can talk about it, but Eric Fiedler will have that same impact going forward as a Colorado kid at Colorado State. And for them as well, like you look at Josiah Sanders, I'm hoping that he has the same impact on kids in Colorado at the University of Colorado that our guys do too, just not on one night a year.
Hey, Ali, I've got a question. I think this is a great question from Jake Shiljan. In terms of scheduling, how do you and staff balance wanting to beef up the metrics versus playing tough games that help the team grow longer term?
I think the biggest thing is you don't want to play the quad 3 games. Those are the teams that can really beat you, that are really good teams, but don't really help you from a metrics quadrant standpoint. But to be honest, we're not in the pay grade realm to buy quad 4 teams very often because the price has gone up for high majors specifically. So we don't have those. So we end up getting a lot of those quad 3 games, like an Incarnate Word that is 182nd in the country, that they can absolutely beat you, but you better be on your A game to have any chance to beat them at home. And if you lose that game, it kills you. And so that's the hardest balance within that. And it's hard to get those quad 4 games that some of the high majors get and win by 70 points. But for us, it's still too about we got to play quality opponents at possible NCAA tournament teams. And I think we've played 4 on our schedule up to this point. We were thinking Loyola Chicago was probably going to be that 5th. So you're looking at an 11-game schedule, and 5 out of 11 are NCAA tournament teams or NCAA tournament hopefuls. That's kind of exactly what you want. And it's hard, but I think it's the hardest thing is never knowing year to year. And it's just like us, like you look at your roster, you think you're going to be good, or you try to measure it, but nobody has any idea. You have no idea how they're going to connect, how it's going to work out, how the chemistry is going to build over time. You have some inclination of those things, but what we try to look at is programs more than anything else. Trying to base this off of stuff is I pretty much know Randy Bennett and St. Mary's are going to be pretty good, so that's going to be a quad 1-2 game every year. Colorado with Tad Boyle, they've pretty much been in the 30s to 100s every year, so that's going to be quad 1 and quad 2. So trying to measure that out as much as possible without having a pure exact science to it either.
Coach, I know you probably grade yourself obviously after every individual game. I don't know if you give yourself, say, a midterm grade, since now we're through the non-conference. So if you do, what kind of grade would you give yourself so far as you get ready to get into league play?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question, Mark. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever thought about it like that. I like how we've progressed. I like how the team's grown over time. I think we've gotten better in some areas that we've been very specific about. The biggest accomplishment to me is the passing and the sharing of the basketball. They look connected on offense, but there's always, that's what we keep telling them too, is like there's no ceiling on where we're at. Like, yeah, I'm happy we're 9-2 and whatever, but I'm still mad we lost 2 games. That's probably just the competitiveness in me, is that it will always haunt me. So every time Steve brings up DU, it just kind of pains me a little bit. But I think as a competitor, it's like, how do you keep growing and how do you keep it fresh for these guys while they have so many things going on in their lives? There's a lot of pressure, people constantly talking to them about what's happening, and still keep them hungry to grow and want to be coached. And I think that's kind of the secret between all this, is how do you keep them in that mindset to want to grow and want to be coached, while they're either having success or not having success, or people are telling them they're having success, and kind of tuning all that out to realize that the only thing that matters is the process of how we go about growing and getting better, because there is no ceiling on this team. And I think that's that would be a crime for me to do that to them, but a crime for them to do that to themselves as well. So I gave you a long-winded answer for I don't have an answer.
Kind of along those lines, I have on the batter, we have a net ranking of 54, Ken Palm of 62. How much? Yeah, I know you have to look at it some, but how much do you really look at it? I assume it doesn't drive any of the way you coach the team, but I know you have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, you look at it still, like, and I look at those websites every day. Not even net, I won't look at as much because it just fluctuates all the time, so it doesn't really matter until later in the season. But like Ken Palm, Haslametrics, Bart Torvik, Evan Myatt, like there's millions of websites out there, which is it's all hilarious to me too. It's like which ones do you choose to look at? Because how are we 62 in this one and then 89 in another one? Like there's a 27 spot difference. And usually it has to do with BPI and ESPN, but I absolutely look at them, but I look at them more for how the stats can change and derive how I coach the team. And we got a little nerdy with them on what day was that? Was that Friday? I got a little in the weeds with the numbers with them a little bit, but we went through the numbers of what needed to change within the numbers analytically for our team to grow and get better. And then I went to the process of how we go about it. Because I can just give you the numbers, but I think that's the difference. That's my job, right? Anybody can tell me the numbers and where we're at, and you're not good at 3-point shooting, or you're not good at this, and it's like, thank you, but that doesn't do anything for me. How do we actually change the process of growing in these specific areas? And we went through that with the guys, but I wanted to actually show them that this is where I got. This is how I got to the process of how we're going to get better. These are the numbers that back up. These are the areas that we need to grow in.
Quick two-parter for you, Coach. When we first had you on, I asked you what's a key to, and something like fill in the blank, where for CSU to be successful, you answered by rebounding. I want to know about that. And then secondly, health of the team as you get ready to get into league play. How is the physical, mental health of the program?
Yeah, I think mentally they're in a good spot. I don't know about Monday morning of finals week. They're probably not as good a spot today. But they seem like they're in a great spot. And yesterday was awesome for those guys and for the whole group. Everyone got to play. I mean, I think everyone played over 10 minutes in the game. So it was phenomenal for everyone to get those opportunities. And you don't get that very often, especially in the middle of the season. So it was great to build a little depth yesterday too for those guys. And also get them ready for what's coming. Because, you open up Mountain West play at Logan, Utah. Thank you, Mountain West, for that on the exit on the way out. But that's what you want. And how can we get all these guys ready to play when you don't have those opportunities, especially when playing the schedule we have, those tough games. You don't get to play that many guys. And so for them to get that opportunity, I think they'll be more ready going into conference in case something else happens, because part of this is luck and how healthy you can stay throughout the season. And I think Rashawn will be back. That's the best part. It's not a season-ending injury. And then Kyle was more of a let's just be safe going into this Sunday game and get him a little rest with his thumb.
Coach, you talked about the Utah State game coming on Saturday. Of course, we closed the non-con at 9-2. The Mountain West teams took a bunch of hits. CSU obviously not the only one with DU, but during the non-con you had Grand Canyon taking a hit. You had UNLV taking a ton of hits. Boise State losing to a D2 school. And there was a lot of national talk talking about how the Mountain West was down. And it looks like the last 2 weeks have turned around. What are you seeing? What are you seeing around the Mountain West right now? Are you seeing any differences from what we've seen the last couple of years?
No, and then I think you add like a Wyoming into the mix of all that too, who's had a quality non-conference, and I think that's I don't know. You were worried about it a little bit always. Like I'm 100% have been rooting for every team in the Mountain West up until today. Now I don't have to root for anybody anymore. But up to that point, like I was texting the other coaches, like congrats on the wins, because at the end of the day, we all need each other. The better New Mexico does, the better that is for us. The better we do, it's better for San Diego State. So for about a month and a half here, I've been the biggest Mountain West advocate. And we've done a great job in the last 2 weeks getting some quality wins. on the road or versus just quality opponents. So I think, I don't know, I'd never count the Mountain West out after the last 6 years and everybody talking about us and what it's been about. There's some elite coaches in this. So I wasn't worried about things turning around just based on the coaches that we have in this league.
Sorry, my dog's going off in the background.
It's not my dog this time.
saying, Coach, how do you root for the rest of the Mountain West when you're focused on you? Coach, what problems, what issues, what will Utah State present this year? What's the makeup of their team? Are they different year to year like we see, or do they have some key people coming back like they did from last year?
Yeah, they have some keys coming back. Mason Falslev is one of the best players in our league. He was last year as well. So obviously, when you return a first-team all-conference guy, that's not a lot of people are doing that these days. And for them to be able to return a first-team all-conference guy, that's impressive in and of itself. But I mean, Jared Calhoun's one of the best coaches in the country. They recruit to a system, they play a system, so they know it's not necessarily that they have a bunch of continuity, but they know their system, they recruit to that system. And I think those are the best coaches and best teams, especially in today's age, is knowing your identity and recruiting to it and understanding the fit of the guys that fit to your system. And I think Utah State's done that better than anybody else in our league this year. And you can see it when you watch them play, that everybody fits. You see a certain player and you're like, oh, I get why they took him. I get why he's there. And that's usually the sign of good teams in today's college basketball. But they present problems every year. Coach Calhoun's an amazing coach. It almost feels like it doesn't matter who the coach is, they're going to win games. And when you got the spectrum behind you, it's one of the best atmospheres in the entire country. And we kind of spoke on that with our guys in the locker room after the game on Sunday too. But that's what makes the Mountain West fun. Is like the pit's amazing. Going to Nevada and playing there is a great atmosphere. Adding Grand Canyon to that mix now, and then obviously you got Viejas, and then for us, like, between Wyoming and Air Force, like, those are still great venues for us to play in too, because those are rivalries. And it makes the Mountain West is special. And I think that's what I've walked away with over the last 8 years is the Mountain West for basketball it doesn't get a lot better for basketball.
Yeah, every player I've ever talked to that's played in Logan, the crowd can get pretty obnoxious there, but every player says it's a lot of fun for them. They really started looking forward to it. I know Neek loved it. Zay loved it. Kendall Moore really loved it. and so anyway, we got to let Ali go. Marty, you got any last questions, last thoughts?
I do, because I want to kind of bring this full circle. Coach, I got to tell you, I admire you and your wife, Mallory, and your family. And I thought it was very sweet when we talk about neurodiversity, about you pulling back the curtain and talking about your family and talking about your young daughter, Mila. And I know you had a chance to meet Temple Grandin. How important it is for you to bring this to the stage to show people that I have a young little girl who's beautiful, who's smart, who maybe you perceive as different, but is very important and valuable. How important is it for you and your family to give light and exposure to this?
Yeah, and I think it's especially being at Colorado State with Temple Grandin here. I think when Mila got diagnosed, we knew about Temple Grandin. Now, we didn't know Temple Grandin Colorado State's connection at the time. We just knew Temple Grandin. And so then we realized, like, it didn't take long to figure that the Colorado State connection out. But as soon as we figured out, we were like, what are we doing? Like, this is amazing. And so we started researching more and more. And then John Barnhart got in with our program too, he's close with Temple Grandin. And that's kind of how it transpired to get Temple to the game. And going through her documentary about what she went through as a child. And I think specifically as a female, being diagnosed with autism, you were basically cast to the side back in her day. And I think that's one of the hardest things. And obviously my daughter being diagnosed as well, it gets passed up a lot, especially in females. In boys, it's more noticeable and people diagnose it faster. With women, it doesn't happen. And I think for us to figure that out, and then having Temple Grandin as an advocate for that, and then also knowing that, like, had Temple not and her mom not foster the things that she did within Temple, think about how many things this world would be missing right now because of the highly intelligent person that she is, but not being in the situation to bring those talents out. And I think that's what coaches are supposed to do. I think that's what teachers are supposed to do. And that's what all these local organizations are doing is shedding light on that, but also putting these people in situations to be successful and letting their light shine so the rest of the world can see what they're great at and build something else that wasn't thought as being possible. And that's essentially what Temple did. And that's pretty cool to have that at Colorado State and have access to that. And for my daughter to be able to look up to that and to be able to say, like, hey, that's me, you know? And the coolest part about the end of that, I've said this coolest part like 10 times now, but the best part about that was that when she met Temple, Temple said that Mila said, I'm autistic, but then she said, but what do you like to do? And I thought that was the best part, as Temple said, yes, you are. She goes, yeah, you are autistic. What are you good at? Like, what do you do? And that's what we talked about Mila about, is that's just part of who you are. Like, you don't go around announcing everything about who you are. You tell them what you're great at, and then that piece of who you are is what makes you special and what makes you great at what you do. Sorry for that.
No, I love it, Coach. I love it. And I love you for that. And your little girl is adorable. Your family is adorable. And like I said, I appreciate that you brought that to the forefront, because a lot of people don't understand, and you've shown the heart and the compassion and love as a dad and a coach and a leader. So no, I'm glad you did that. It was just neat to see Mila's little story. It just made me really happy as a dad.
She had fun with it.
Yeah.
She said she doesn't understand this completely, but she said Temple Grandin was the first person to get interviewed that's autistic, and I'm going to be the second. Oh, we let her have that. Like, she doesn't need to know anything else, but we'll let her have that win.
Loved it, Coach. Loved it.
Yeah, from my perspective, Coach, I appreciate you sharing your family with us, because it also becomes one of these things where I feel like I'm part of the overall family. You're very much a family person, and I think that's the joy that the CSU program started with Nico, and now you're bringing it even further. It's the family feeling where everybody is embraced, and so yesterday was a special day, but it's just one more brick in the foundation of what you're building at CSU, and from my perspective, I really appreciate it. Before you go, I can't let you go without answering this question. So congrats on a successful non-con. Really nice work on the neurodivergency day. How stressful was it cleaning the house for the professional cameras that came in?
That's what my father-in-law was watching the video, and he was sitting in our living room watching it. And he goes, wow. He's like, wow, that looks really different. Where are you guys? I was like, that's our living room. I was like, yeah, it looks way different. Every time that you see that our living room on camera, that is not what it looks like on a 95% basis.
Oh, God. That is so awesome. I love that. Coach, thank you very much. Congratulations on getting off to a great start. I'm going to be up there with my boy. We're going to be taking in a lot of games there. I'm just excited for you. And I say this as an alum and a fan, and I consider myself, casually, but a friend of yours and your family. I just want to say I'm so proud and honored you're our coach for so many reasons. But yesterday, just one more reason as to why that's the case. So thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. And thanks, Steve, for doing this. And thanks for being a part of it, too, because I think that was it was special for a bunch of people in the community, not just my family as well. So it was pretty cool to see everybody come out and support the way they did.
You bet. Well, Coach, thanks a lot for popping on with us, and we'll talk to you. Well, obviously, I'll see you sometime this week before you guys head out to Logan. But have a great week. I'm sure everybody wishes nothing but the best on the road trip to Logan. So thanks again. Coach.
Thanks, Steve. Happy holidays, you too.
Thank you. You too, Coach.
We're blessed, Marty.
Unbelievably blessed. I mean, hey, humanity is important. And when you have a coach, and I've talked about this before with you, that I still think at whatever level you're at, coaches are teachers and mentors. And he is a teacher and he's a mentor. And then you see he's a father and all the things that go with that. I think as a composite of a coach, if you could put together the materials here, there, and that of what you want to coach, I think it'd be Coach Farokmanesh. And I feel the same way. I'm giddy when I love watching him on the sideline, seeing him have success, and it just makes me beam with pride. As an alum, to say that's the representative of my university. And when I see things like yesterday and him talking about his story with his daughter, that just even makes me. That's just that humanity piece, which I think is missing quite a bit in life, but also in the sports piece as well. So no, it just makes me beam with pride to say that's my coach.
I have a comment here from My buddy Joey B. Thank you, Ali. We all support you and your family. We're all part of this family. I've known Joey for 20 plus years. The Ram family is a wonderful family. The one thing that is so exciting to me, I bring on a lot of players um, as guests, and to the person, they are really extraordinary young men. He recruits not just good players, but the interview I did with Josh Pasquarelli on Thursday night. Josh is such a wonderful young man, and everybody loved. It was like the comments of so soft spoken, so polite. And I mentioned that to Ali, and Ali goes, Josh is that way, but so's everybody else on the team. They're all that way, and they really are polite young men. To me, that's again, I stress the family part, and I have to mention I had a conversation offline via direct messaging yesterday or the day before with the dad of a player who is committed to play at CSU, going back and forth, and they are so excited, not just because of the way CSU plays basketball, because of the environment, and because of the way it embraces people and develops people, not just as players, but as human beings as well.
Well, we used to say for a long time, Steve, that character counts. And there's at times I wonder if it still matters. But when I see it in situations like Coach Ali and Colorado State, and as you say, the young men that are coming here, young men and women that are coming to play and perform at the university, I think, at least from my vantage point in the university's characters, definitely still matters. So I'm glad about that, and that makes me happy to see that. It definitely does. By the way, with Pasquarelli, was he 5 for 5 from 3 during your interview? I swear that kid can fall out of bed. I mean, geez, watching him shoot is just a beautiful work of art. Unreal watching how he can shoot.
He missed a few yesterday. He
Yeah.
missed like 4 in a row yesterday. I didn't get a chance to tease him, but he has had 2 streaks this year. One where he's made 10 in a row, missed 2, and followed up with 9 in a row. And I've never seen anybody make 10 in a row and 9 in a row in such. I mean, he is such a great shooter.
His form is effortless. I mean, you just look at the form, you just see it. It's just so effortless. It's just like, geez. It's almost poetic how he does it. It's unreal. And I've heard Coach say this in the post games. He's almost surprised when he misses. He's like, "Oh, I know he's going to make it." When he misses, that's actually more of a surprise instead of when he's.
You mentioned that when we sit and watch games, and I sit with people that I've sat with for years. And when he misses, we sit and giggle and look at each other because it's like, I don't know what just happened. He missed.
Right.
And I don't take it for granted. I love the one thing I've always loved, and I talked about it with Josh, was I love great shooters. I always have, and he's as good as I've seen. It's just it's a joy to watch. Hey, before we go, I got one comment from Joey. Marty, we need the beard back. He was commenting before. Ali's got the holiday beard. I've got the holiday beard. What's going on?
I only do that for Movember. I do that to humor my lovely wife. She says, "Grow it." I said, "But it looks just horrible." I look like I either lost a razor or I've been out in the hinterland, but I can't even grow one of those real thick, great beards. That looks terrible. I just do that to humor my wife. I don't. Plus, it gives away my age. When my beard comes in, then you really see the gray. I'm still pretty dark up top. But then my beard comes in. It's like, yeah, I'm definitely looking like I'm in my late 50s. So I'm probably my vanity as well. I'm like, no, I'm not going to grow
that thing. So what you got? You got anything fun planned for this week?
Well, I'm heading to Philadelphia with my wife because she does a lot of work on the East Coast, and I am talking to some broadcasters out there. They would like me to come in and have some discussions with them. So I am open to doing that. If I had some time, I'd go to the Palestra. I know since you love basketball so much, to go to that, those hallowed grounds. But that's really about it. Just doing that, more holiday stuff, enjoying my son's basketball season, those sorts of things. What about you?
Oh, the big day. Of course, our life revolves around our dogs. We don't have any
Right.
grandkids, and we have a big day planned tomorrow as my golden retriever Mookie turns 4 years old.
Oh, nice.
So of course there's a place down in Loveland that bakes cakes just for dogs that has dog friendly stuff in it, and we'll sit down and celebrate his birthday and sing happy birthday to Mookie, and Bowen will get to experience his first the first birthday with Mookie. We'll probably put little sombreros on him and take silly videos because that's what we do. We're silly.
Good. Well, I have grandkids and a dog, and there's sometimes it's like, what's more difficult to navigate? So at
There you go.
least my grandkids won't bark at me while I'm, on screen here or doing a program. At least my grandkids know to go away if they're around.
Well, we're gonna let's call it a day. I hope you have a wonderful trip to Philadelphia. I do want video of you do running up the art
In
museum
the rock,
steps if you can.
I'll do it. Yo,
Um,
Adrian. Yo,
there you
cut
go.
side. Yeah.
But obviously a city near and dear to my heart. It's where I grew up, and obviously Palestra, the first place I saw a college basketball game. Franklin Field on the University of Pennsylvania campus, where I saw my first college and professional football game because the Eagles used to play there when I was a kid. And so it's a city that's near and dear to my heart. So safe travels. Hope
I
you have a
will.
successful business trip, and we'll get back together again next Monday morning.
I always look forward to it, my friend. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I love starting a week with you. It's a great week. I love starting a week with our Ram community. Thank you everybody for joining us. We're gonna sign off with have a great week, everybody, and go Rams.
Go Rams.